Right, we're just about live. It's telling me I'm now live. So where were we? Sorry, it's been a bit difficult today. It's been a very busy and hectic day, so I didn't get in till late, just before 2000, so there's no chance of going live bang on 2000. But I'm here now. And the reason I'm live is that I hear so many stories about combating um, loneliness. And they only come up at Christmas on the media. So hey, let's cash in on this. That's what the media is saying. And for me, loneliness isn't just for Christmas. Loneliness for some people is a way of life, and it's not comfortable and it's not easy. So I wanted to do something that just takes that away. And I'm reading some extracts from my book, Fearless Diary of an 18-Year-Old at War in the Falklands, just to encourage people to sit down, relax for 20 minutes, and just listen and take some time out for themselves, and perhaps join in some chats with others that are listening in. And they are getting, hi Jan, we are getting listeners coming in, we're getting viewers. In fact, over 100 viewers saw the last video. May not be all at the same time, but they saw it somewhere. So where are we? Combating loneliness. So this is from the extract, Fearless Diary of an 18-Year-Old at the War in the Falklands. Wednesday, 5th of April. May even, Wednesday, 5th of May now. HMS Sheffield lost. Sunk by an RGX asset. Ops Room MCO complex, part of my area, hit. 30. Strike that. 20 killed. Since it's 26, we've been going to see it every night and sometimes anchoring during the day. Start to go 1 in 2 type defence watches. Bought a watch, £62 Seiko. Also, 1 Harrier gun. I was horrified when I heard this news. The whole ship was in a state of total shock. This really turned our views on them giving up, upside down. I knew now that this was for real, and we were going to have to fight to the death to win the Falklands back. It also created a sense of, we'll get the bastards back. They cannot get away with this. Everybody was baying for blood. Our shipmates had been killed or injured now, and we had a steely resolve for revenge. Hatred appeared to suddenly grow amongst us. All I could think of again were those poor blokes caught in the blast and the flames, the way they died so horribly. Those that were still alive had to fight their way out of the ship through the thick, cloying smoke with their injuries and their burnt flesh. It was an awful picture in my mind's eye, and once again played on my biggest fears of being burnt alive or drowning as I listened to announcements over the tannoy about shipmates in our task force being injured and dying in just these circumstances. As I said in the introduction, this diary was written as it happened. Today's entry was a classic example. The initial reports received about losses were 30 killed. As I was writing this, an announcement was made updating us on the situation, and thankfully the number was far less than feared. I have always loved being out in the open, which is one of the reasons why I chose to become a tactical radio operator. So I could be on the bridge and outside on the wings and signal decks. During our communication training at Mercury, we scored over 95% in your Morse exams in Part 2 training. You were automatically selected for submarine service. 3 of us in my class got 95% plus, and I was proud to have achieved 97%. I had to fight to stay out of submarines. The thought of being encased underwater for months at a time filled me with dread, and I was sent to the Kelly Squadron office to argue my case. I eventually won, but only after threatening to leave the RN. The thought of being underwater really did terrify me that much. The area of the Sheffield that took a severe amount of damage was the area of the ship that I worked in. As part of the watch system, we would alternate between the bridge, the ops room, and the main signal communications office, or MCO, through our watches. I decided there and then that when the balloon went up, I would be on the upper scupper and avoid being below decks at all costs. I really did not want to die in the bows of the ship. If we were hit and the need arose, I could leap over the side without struggling through the dark passageways and ladders, etc. I could also see what was happening if I was up top. I needed to be out in the open and not cooped up inside a still vessel, submarine or ship. I had to be out on the upper deck, on the upper scupper there. And the shiny chef incident made that all the clearer to me. As for the £62 Seiko, it was that or a Mickey Mouse watch. We have to record times whenever we receive signals by light or transmission voice, or when we transmit them. I never had a watch and always relied on my Oppo to record the time. Due to how easy we were, I didn't always have an Oppo with me, so I had to buy a watch. The naffy had two left, Mickey or Seiko. It was a lot of money to spend in those days. I only got paid about £35 a week. I still have the receipt and I still have the watch. I wear it through April to June and on any parades that I go on. I've had two watches my whole adult life. That one and one my children bought me for my 40th birthday. A Seiko, very similar to the original, which I wear on a day-to-day basis. Chapter 8, Fearless and Me. Thursday the 6th of May. Did a Vertrek in the afternoon. Wrote another mailie for home. Have to remember to get the stamps. Atlantic Conveyor joined with its Harriers. Also Intrepid had joined. Atlantic Conveyor first sighted during middle by me and reported. Nothing happened. About 5 o'clock, it was about 2 miles away from us, and the officer of the watch decided it was at last to exchange identities. The second officer of the watch came out looking for the seaman lookout and started to tick him off for not reporting it. But I interrupted and told him it was reported during the middle, sir. His face dropped and he had to apologise. The diary's getting a bit tatty now. I'll have to take more care of it. Note, it's the first time Intrepid and Fearless have been together in the amphibious role since Aden. Another frustrating encounter with the officer of the watch, and yet again my reports were ignored as I watched the Atlantic Conveyor sailing in. We had to wait to be ordered to challenge anything or send signals. The Atlantic Conveyor was one of the biggest stuff ships taken up from trade to be part of the fleet, and she was carrying vital supplies of Chinook helicopters and Harriers, plus tons of other kit and equipment that were needed for our war efforts at sea and ashore. The Stuffed had an RN crew on board as well as civilians, so they knew the routine, and every ship had a Royal Navy comms team with them. I did the necessary for the identification and reported it in. The second officer watch came out on the wings to have a go at the seamen gunners. I was furious and stepped in. Sir, check the RO's log. You'll find it was reported by me several hours ago and ignored by the officer watch. Don't take it out on us. The middle is 0001. There is no 000 in the Royal Navy. At 0400, though in this instance we were on long watches, which meant they were 6 hours long, not 4. His face really was a picture, but he did have the decency to say sorry. The fearless has been linked with my life in quite a spooky way, which may explain why I have such strong feelings about her, apart from the great ship's company. She was launched 6th of December 1963. Sorry. Yeah, I was born 1st of December 63. In November 1967, with HMS Intrepid, she was in Aden, withdrawing the troops from the uprising and the independence of Aden, brackets South Yemen. Guess where I was at 3 years old? Yep, living in married quarters in Aden, in a war zone where we were being shot at. In those days, it seems, families went into war zones. We lived in Aden for a couple of years, where Mum tells me rebels regularly carried out drive-by shootings at the married quarters. She also tells a story of when I was back in the UK shortly after we got back from Aden. And I was out with Grandad Egan. Queer fella was his nickname for me. I was his little shadow and worshipped him. He went to kick a tin that he found lying on the ground. And I grabbed his hand and pulled him back, saying, "You mustn't do that because you can die." This shocked and saddened him that someone so young, who should be so innocent and be able to have fun in the streets, should think like that. The rebels would throw grenades or set booby traps such as tins like they're flying around, with explosives and nails in them. That would detonate if disturbed, now known as IEDs. We army kids were taught that we should look out for and what we shouldn't touch, which also carried on in Germany and with the troubles in Northern Ireland. I think it was at this point that I also wrote the classic letter to a loved one. This may be my last opportunity to tell you that I love you. I had been madly in love with a girl called Paula since I returned back to Milham School in 1977. During school she was going out with someone else, but she was brilliant and we laughed and we had fun in classes. I eventually got to go out with her after we left school and I was based in Chatham. So it was a long distance relationship that lasted 3 beautiful months. She ended the relationship one weekend citing too much pressure. She never elaborated on that pressure and we were both in tears when she told me. I was devastated. This night I had to write to her to tell her how I felt. I genuinely meant everything I said in the letter and poured my heart out to her. I told her that I may never see her again or ever get the chance to tell her how I had felt about her for so long. It took me ages to write the letter. I really was struggling with my emotions because I felt so strongly about her and I was sailing into a war, not knowing what was going to happen or if I was going to survive. Paula wrote back telling me that the letter had her in tears and she wanted to keep in touch. This really lifted my spirits and my morale. She gave me some hope that perhaps when this was all over, if I survived, there was a chance we would get back together again. We exchanged several letters during the war, and we did try to get together later. She really did help me get through it, and I hope she knows how much I appreciate what she did for me during that very difficult time. She was not able to come to my homecoming party, as she had booked a holiday away in Torquay with friends. If I had come home a day earlier, she would have been there. We tried later, through the months after I came home we tried to see each other, but I had started drinking heavily and my behaviour was somewhat erratic during these months. And we always ended up arguing and things were never right again. Okay, thank you for those that have stayed with it and have made comments. Jan, Debbie, again another connection there, Jan, being in Aden. Okay, I said 15 minutes and that was bang on 15 minutes. So I shall leave that. There won't be a reading tomorrow night because I'm at a business event. So I shall be back online on Friday evening at 8 o'clock, 2000. In fact, it may not be because I've got 2 clients Friday evening now. So 4 till 5, 5:30 through till 7. Possibly make it for 8 o'clock. Depends how things are after I finish my second clients. But anyway, we'll not worry about it. We'll just get on with life and see what happens and take it easy. So thank you everybody for coming on board and listening, and I will leave it there and catch up again on Friday. Thank you so much.